Welcome to You, Me, Empathy. Thank you for listening. We would like to remind you that this podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and is not a substitute for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Known as just a silly boy with a feely heart. Please consider supporting the show. Check us out on Patreon or simply leave a review on iTunes. Here's your host and creator of the show, Known Wells.
Hello, feely humans. Welcome to another episode of You, Me, Empathy. Let's get into this episode by singing a song that I'm going to make up here on the spot. I'm going to call it the Feely Human Song. We are feely humans, we love things. Those things are hearts and empathy and compassion. We lead with our hearts. We like to feel. We're not afraid of feelings. We love feeling. We love it. It's the greatest thing. I can't sing, but that's okay. I'm going to be kind to myself. My dog is looking at me weird. I don't care what he thinks. He loves me. I give him treats. It's the Feely Human Song. I'm a feely human. You're a feely human. Feely humans for the win. But I don't care about winning or losing. It's just about being, right? Because we're feely. Okay, I'm sorry about that. You guys, feely humans, it's episode 58. Thank you to everyone for the nice messages about last week's 1-year anniversary celebration. We released 3 episodes. If you haven't listened to those, go back and do it. They were fantastic. I had guests like Rukmini Padar and Corey Stamper and Laura Donaldson and David Grabowski and Eric Zimmer and Sarah Jickling and Katie Hilliard and Jordana Ream and Shannon Strucci. Wonderful feely humans, all of them. So go back and listen to those episodes if you haven't. Today's episode is with my friend Courtney Blanton. Courtney is the co-founder of the Hi, How Are You project. We talk about medication stigma. We talk about healing through education and the origins of the Hi, How Are You project. If you're not familiar with the sort of history of indie rock or indie music, really, you may not know a name, Daniel Johnston, but I certainly know him. He's been making music for decades, and his first album is called Hi, How Are You? And he's an Austin-based musician who has mental illness. I think he has some schizoaffective disorder. I'm not 100% certain. I didn't look that up before this, and I should know it, and I feel shame now. But he is a beautiful musician. I got to see him live once, open for Neutral Milk Hotel. And he's fantastic, and he's being supported by the Hi, How Are You project, which is this project that Courtney and Tom co-founded that inspires new conversations around mental health and funds and creates sort of thoughtful media and projects and events created in support by Daniel Johnston himself and his family, and just provides a platform for exchanging ideas and education on mental health and well-being. It's fantastic. Go check it out at hihowareyou.org. And one thing that's very exciting is Hi, How Are You Day. It's a celebration on January 22nd. It's in Austin, Texas. And there's going to be a concert, and amazing bands like Yola Tango is going to be there, and the Flaming Lips, and Built to Spill. I love Built to Spill. So if you're in the Austin, Texas area, or just Texas vicinity, go check that out. Go to hihowareyou.org to learn more about that. Specifically for Hi, How Are You Day. You can find that by going to hihowareyou.org, and it's there on the homepage. So like I said, Flaming Lips, Built to Spill, Yola Tango, Bob Mould, The Black Angels, Gavin DeGraw, The Moth and the Flame, Bob Schneider. It's all a benefit for the Hi, How Are You project. It's being held Tuesday, January 22nd at ACL Live at the Moody Theater in Austin, Texas. Go check it out. And they have some great, cool swag over at Hi, How Are You project, hihowareyou.org. Go, get involved, support a beautiful thing that Courtney and Tom are doing. Last thing I'll say on that is, and I'll post about this on Instagram and the website, is we're going to do a little giveaway. We're going to give away a Hi, How Are You t-shirt and a Hi, How Are You pin. So learn more about that, or don't learn more about that. You'll see more about that very soon on Instagram or the website. So go check out Instagram at YouMeEmpathy, Twitter at YouMeEmpathy, and look out for that little giveaway. That's fun. Thanks to Courtney for doing that. Okay, you ready to get into this episode? I'm not quite ready. It's 2019, and I would really love to see more iTunes reviews. So if you can go over to iTunes, open up iTunes, do a search for You, Me, Empathy, and go over to the reviews and click leave a review and leave an honest review. I don't even care if it's critical. Just be honest with your heart and leave a review about the show, because the more reviews we get, the more potential new earholes are listening to the show, which is an important show, right? I think so. I think people should listen to it. And I appreciate your feely hearts, feely humans. So thank you for that. And without further ado, let's get into it. This is episode 58 with Courtney Blanton on medication stigma, healing through education, and the origins of the Hi, How Are You project.
La la la, you, me, empathy, yeah, la la la.
Welcome to You, Me, Empathy, a podcast about exploring the struggles we face in our day-to-day lives as humans trying to get by on this wondrous and overwhelming pale blue dot. The intent of You, Me, Empathy is to talk openly about... I screwed that one up. Let's try that again.
Okay.
The intent of You, Me, Empathy is to talk openly, without judgment, about our neuroses, our mental illnesses, our shared anxieties and worries, to create a dialogue that is vulnerable and deeply human and empathetic, and to share that dialogue with others to inspire emotional and cognitive collaboration and insight, so we can, hand in hand, break down the stigma that make us feel shame and guilt for struggling, for feeling our feelings, for being human. You, Me, Empathy is a safe, friendly space designed to inspire the beauty in each of us. Today, I am overjoyed to chat with interior designer, Austinite, and co-creator of the Hi, How Are You project, Courtney Blanton. Hello, Courtney.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing well, and good question. How are you?
Very, very well. We are getting to the end of the year, and that means that we're getting closer to Hi, How Are You?
Right.
Our big event that happens January 22nd. I guess our first event was this year, and then now our second event is 2019. So
Exciting.
yeah.
Now, we're going to get all into Hi, How Are You and the project and the foundation and sort of the origin stories of that today, but let's do an emotional check-in. We always kind of start the show with just, how have you been lately? How's your day going? How's your week been?
Interestingly, I have not been well. I've talked to you about this, and I love that you and I get to have these conversations, because we both, as we know, we've talked in the past about how we share very similar stories, and my depression and anxiety has not been well. And I think that's probably because some situational, but some seasonal. And, and I've been dealing with that. And maybe some hormonal as well.
Yeah. I think a lot of us can relate to especially the seasonal part of I mean, someone with depression, anxiety, obviously the anxiety on the sort of, this time of year is certainly one that we can all relate to in terms of the stress, the high anxiety, the familial pressures, the, challenging of our, self care boundaries. And then certainly the seasonal aspect of depression. It's maybe darker for longer periods of time, that sort of thing. So I relate to that pretty deeply.
Yeah. Yes.
And what kinds of things are you doing to try to combat that stuff?
Well, one of it's, as you know, it's been a long journey, and I try different things all the time. But for me, what the most important thing that I've done for myself is to become really well informed. And part of that being well informed comes in the way of diet and exercise and learning about my genealogy, learning about my hormone levels. I have a thyroid condition. So I think it's making sure that you're keeping up to date and being well informed about what's going on with you. It's not about your head. It's
Right.
about your stomach. It's your gut. It's your gut health. I can't eat gluten. I ate gluten at Thanksgiving and it put me out for 2 weeks.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. It just depresses me. It makes me really foggy and, does silly things to my body. But, I'm not celiac, but I do know that when I don't have gluten, I'm in a much better place. And then thyroid, I have to make sure that my hormones are in place. And then about this time of year, sometimes I have to up my dose and my antidepressants. So that's kind of what I do.
Yeah. Do you mind saying what antidepressant you're taking?
I'm taking Fetzima, and I'm glad you asked that because I want to start encouraging people to. I had this really wonderful doctor in Los Angeles who helped me with my hormones, but she also helped me with, helping me get to the right medication because I've been trying so many medications in my life, and certainly feeling shameful about that and trying to not take medication and, back and forth, and you know how it goes.
Yeah.
that fun tennis match. But, she turned me on to this genealogy thing, which it's a very simple test. Unfortunately, doctors don't they don't offer it up. I don't know why. I mean, you have to ask for it. But it will tell you what medication your body metabolizes.
So I've heard of this. Like what?
Yeah.
Like how do you facilitate? How do you go in? What do you ask for?
It's called a genealogy test. There's Mayo Clinic recommends one, and then I can't remember the name of it. I had it up. I actually had it up for a friend. Let me see if I can find it really quick.
So the idea is that they
GeneSight is what it's called.
GeneSight?
GeneSight.
Okay, and the idea is that they can more sort of closely target what medication is right for you based on your genes.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and the great thing about 23andMe and everything that's coming out about genealogy is that we're really getting dialed into our real makeup, and certainly ancestral makeup and that sort of thing, but also what really is going on with you. I've been studying up a lot, and I have the gene. It's called MTHFR. I won't tell you what I call it.
Motherfucker?
I call it the motherfucker gene.
I have that gene too, Courtney.
Yes, I know. I would imagine that you would. But and with that gene comes PCOS for women, typically. And so,
and what's
anyway,
PCOS?
Polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just MTHFR, the motherfucker gene, kind of fucks up a lot of things in our life. And it's something that I've been paying close attention to. And, with that, I don't know if you're taking it, but I take folate and I take B12. So those are two things that if you do have that MTHFR gene that you can find out if you have through 23andMe, I highly recommend, those two things.
Yeah, I was taking some folate, and it was messing with my
Methylfolate.
stomach.
Are you taking methylfolate?
Methylfolate, yeah.
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 Oh, I was messing with your stomach.
Yeah, a bit. I might need to try to find just like a B vitamin that helps me, because I need that too. Has this, like, I love the like, I think you're right. In terms of, like, we have to take control of our health, and one way of doing that is education, is learning. But of course, like, I think the stumbling block for a lot of us sometimes is just the overwhelm of it all.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm 42 and I'm still learning.
Yeah. Like, how did you get there? Like, let's maybe back up a little bit. I kind of want to understand, like, your first interactions with, recognizing your mental health, your depression. Like, I'm curious about that sort of origin story for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's an intense one. It was certainly situational, but I guess as a kid, I always had these moments of depression, and I would cry for no reason. And when you're a woman or you're becoming a woman, certainly your hormones are kind of going wackadoodle. But it was just different for me. I had something going on. But then when I got to college, and I had always had stomach issues, and certainly no doctor ever told me that about the gut and brain relationship, and I don't even know if they knew. But when I was in college, my parents were getting a divorce. It was really hard for me to be going through college, trying to be normal, have fun with my friends and go to class and just, do the college thing. And I slipped into a very deep, dark depression, and my mom noticed it and made me go see someone. And thank God she did, because I was not well. And they immediately put me on Prozac, and Prozac really did save my life. I was very suicidal, and I wouldn't leave my room. My grades were certainly failing, and that sort of thing. And then when I did get the Prozac, I was very embarrassed by it. This was back in 94, 95. And I had it, I had it in an Advil bottle in the bottom of my drawer. So nobody would know that I was taking an antidepressant, that there was something wrong with me.
Right. Yeah. And obviously this was, some time ago, but was it just a cultural understanding that you would be judged by it, or did you hear things? Like, what was going through your mind in terms of the hiding of it?
I don't know. It's really interesting, because you just didn't talk about that sort of thing, and I don't remember or can't recall why that was, but I just know that it was. It was in our culture. It was that way. And especially being in Texas, and being, there's a different kind of tradition, and everybody's just nice, and you don't necessarily know what's going on. It's truly about asking, hi, how are you? But not really meaning it.
Right.
Everybody's just brushing by. So
it's so fascinating to me, like, because I ask that question a lot, and I try to get to the, like, what made you feel the shame of it? What made you feel like you had to hide it? Because I felt that too, Courtney.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's hard. It is hard to pinpoint. And I do think it's just what society was at that time,
Yes.
Like, it doesn't, and it's amazing. Like, in retrospect, we're like, why couldn't we, buck the trend and start talking about it? Like, hindsight is 2020, but it is fascinating to me how we can fast forward 20 years and now we are talking about it more openly. I mean, I think there's still work to be done, but I guess that's progress.
Yeah. No, it is. And I find that young people, even though suicide is really up right now, especially among young women, I do find that they are talking about it openly, and that makes me really happy. What I would like to see more of is that people are talking about it like diabetes, or they're talking about it like, you know, heart disease, or, you know, it's something that is, it's just your body doing whatever your body's doing, and
Yeah.
you can correct that. You know, you can work on that. If you had heart disease and you were eating hamburgers every day, your doctor may tell you to stop eating hamburgers and take a certain medication, you know, and get on a diet, or, you know, do exercise or whatever. But they don't really, you know, doctors, if you go personally, if I go to a gastroenterologist, because of my stomach issues, they'll give me a pill because they want you to leave with a solution. You know, they always want to leave. They want to leave you having felt like you were, something went right
Yeah.
with that meeting. You know,
Right.
and it's usually in the form of a pill. And I don't think that we don't get to the bottom of what it really is in our body, like what's really happening.
And
So.
how do we do that? Is it more questions? Is it more curiosity? Is it
I think it's just getting really interested, you know, as
Yeah.
opposed to just feeling that, you know, there are no answers. There actually are answers out there, and we're finding out more and more all the time. It's just getting interested, and getting interested in your body. I mean, there's so many, you know, the 23andMe, you know, just I was talking about the MTHFR and PCOS. You can find that out really easily if you know what to look for. You know, if you just do the research. And there's so many great books out there. I'm trying to think of this one that we've been reading lately. Oh my gosh, I can't think of it. I'll get back to you about it.
Sure.
But there's so many really great books out there. You know, one of the books actually I'm reading right now is called The Medical Medium. I don't know if you've heard about this guy.
No. Tell me all about it.
He believes that we, you know, it's kind of like, what's the word for it? Anyway, he believes that we all have Epstein-Barr in our body, and like something traumatic happens in your life to bring it forward.
Huh.
So I'm starting to read into it, and I think it's highly, highly interesting. He claims to be, to have the spirit that talks to him to tell him what's wrong with people. For instance, he told his grandmother when he was 5 years old that she had lung cancer. And in fact, she did. She didn't know it at the time, but he told her, and she went and got it checked out. And actually she had lung cancer.
Wow.
So he's able to read people. And, you know, the spirit has also told him about how to correct that, you know, how to work through that. But the one commonality, and as all, I guess, is this Epstein-Barr. And something happens in your life that's traumatic, and it gets like inflamed, and it hides in your body in your liver and in your spleen, and it you know, manifests itself in different ways. So but it's really interesting. I'll let you know more.
Yeah. Have you read the #1 most cited book on this podcast, The Body Keeps the Score?
You know, that's on my list.
You got to read it.
It is on my list. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's really all about how we hold trauma in our bodies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Courtney, when you went to therapy, or let me backtrack. Like, so you were prescribed Prozac, and then what happened? How did that make you feel? Were you going to therapy at that time? Were you starting to open up about your mental health?
No, not at all. In fact, I hid it from everybody, including my family, because you know, I was supposed to be kind of the golden child and make it in life.
But didn't your mom? Wasn't your mom the one that sort of encouraged you to go?
Yes. And the funny thing is that I still hid it from her. You know, I didn't want to talk about it. It wasn't, I just was never the kind of kid that wanted to talk about stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't. And I only stayed on the Prozac for 4 months, and it really helped me a lot. And then I graduated from college eventually, and I went to San Francisco, and I fell into another deep, dark depression. And I tried taking Prozac again, and this time it didn't help.
Mm.
And it was grueling. And I think, my therapist or psychiatrist tried to put me on something else, and that didn't work. It gave me like terrible side effects, and can't remember what it was. But for years I went through, this up and down, and trying to be sober, trying to, do meditation, I tried so many different things and not take medication, but because some of the side effects were so terrible. So finally, when I did come to the right person, this doctor that I met when I was around 35, 36, who was the one that told me I had a thyroid condition. She was also the one that gave me the genealogy test.
Mm-hmm.
And, since I was, and talking about, when did I start talking about it was, it's called landmark education, and it's, I don't know, they call it like self-expression and leadership. And so they believe that you cannot be fully self-expressed unless you deal with your past and just kind of let it go. And part of that is like reaching back and seeing what those skeletons are about. And the skeleton for me was this medication, something in the form of a pill that I would take or not take, because of society, what society tells me to do or not do, or that I'm not normal, something's wrong with me. So, I dealt with that and Landmark, and I decided, I talked to my teacher on the side about it. And he was like, Courtney, if you, the age old, if you had diabetes, would you take insulin? If you had heart disease, would you take medication? And I said, I would. And he said, would you talk about it with people? And I said, sure. Like, that seems normal.
Yeah.
But this isn't. And he's like, it is. He's like, your body is actually just doing something. It's doing whatever it's doing, right? And you're taking medication for it. That's all.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, like I totally got that. And he said, now go advocate. And so I crawled a little bit for a while and started talking to friends and family a little bit here and there about it. And they were sad for me that I had struggled for so long and not talked about it. And then, eventually I ran, and now I'm, I don't want to say Lance Armstrong, but, in a way I am, it's kind of my superpower. And I'm proud to deal with what I have, and it's okay. And I acknowledge it. I acknowledge it. I talk to friends about it. Like, it's like I've got a headache,
Mm-hmm.
It's just like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously there's so much power and relief and growth and insight in vulnerability. Describe that experience for you. Like, you for most of your life were hiding that stuff. You were keeping it in, and it was destroying you. And I relate to that very much.
Yeah.
Describe like those first conversations. Who did you go to? What did you say? Did you just say, I'm struggling? Were you ever met with any pushback or skepticism?
The first person I told was my boyfriend at the time. And he was somewhat accepting, and I think he was accepting, for the most part. I don't think he totally got it though, which is why I'm not with him anymore.
Yeah.
But that was the hardest conversation I ever had in my life. And I can't tell you why it was. I mean, it just was, you hide all these years and you hide medication from people that you love, and you keep yourself from those people. It was made me a wreck. But I also felt like there was something terribly wrong with me, and if anybody were to find out that, my cover
rejected?
was rejected. My cover would be blown, and they would certainly reject me.
Do you struggle with the feeling that you don't deserve love?
That's interesting.
Because I do.
Yeah.
I recently, and I just posted about this on Instagram, I had an experience where I was, playing a board game with some friends, and halfway through I shut down. And I've been trying to unpack what that's all about, and I'm realizing that it's this feeling that I don't deserve love, I don't deserve good things. Yeah. And once I start enjoying an experience, I don't want people to see that. And so I'm working on that, but I'm just wondering if you can relate to that, any of that.
Well, yeah, you just totally blew my mind. Yeah, I mean, I'm in this amazing relationship with this fabulous man right now, and he loves me, every piece of me. I fart and he thinks it's the sweetest, funniest thing, it's just
because farts are funny.
His farts are, because farts are funny.
Yeah.
But it's I try to sabotage it, and then I'm like, okay, there's that thing again, and I have to really acknowledge it and acknowledge what's happening, because I can't imagine being with anyone else but this man who loves me so very, very much. It's like we spend our whole lives sabotaging.
Yeah. And you for me, it was part of my identity, right? The way I related to my family, feeling misunderstood, feeling like I had to be the caretaker emotionally, feeling like I had to hide. These are core components to my identity. Yep. And but I have to learn, and I think we all do, that that's how I related to that experience, and those are valid. If others aren't seeing that, if others don't accept it in that way or validate it in that way, that's not on me. I can't control that.
Yeah.
And I need to let go of that and let in the light. And I can still recognize that those experiences were valid.
Yeah.
But I get the feeling, it's almost like this, you hold on to it for dear life because it's just this core part of your identity,
Yeah. Yeah. You feel not deserving.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And so recently I chatted with a friend, Aaron Smith. We talked about, he had mentioned something about how society is, nowadays a bit more accepting of things like depression and anxiety. Mm-hmm. He called them the safe mental illnesses. And I thought that was interesting. And he is someone who is bipolar too. Mm-hmm. And then, my brother, schizophrenia. Okay, how do you feel about this idea that society is a bit more accepting of things like depression and anxiety and not of some of the more mania involved mental illnesses?
Yeah. Again, you're blowing my mind. But of course, because you and I are saturated in this. And, we just worked with NAMI to do this card that's on our website on hihowareyou.org. And it's our Friendly Frog program. But I did this because I wanted people to understand how to have a conversation, and not just with people with depression and anxiety. It's people across the board, mm-hmm. Anything that you're going through, whether you're dying of cancer or you've got dissociative disorder, there's a proper way to have a conversation, and it really is about validation, and it's about listening. It's about being in the right space at the right time, and not even at the right time. It's about getting to a safe space and having those conversations, and then checking in again.
Yeah.
So, there's I'm sure you've heard about this. There was this NPR show that I was listening to one day, and it's like this little town in the Netherlands or somewhere, and they encourage people with mental health issues to come and live in this town. And at Starbucks, it'll be like, oh, there's Bob. He's talking to himself, like, "Hey, Bob." It's like it's a very accepting society, and it's just so interesting. I'm like, this is great. Like, why don't we just do this?
Yeah, let's do this everywhere.
Yeah. So what? That people hear voices. Like, okay. You have cancer. She hears voices. He has heart disease. I have depression, anxiety. We're all just kind of dealing with something. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I love that you keep bringing up the fact that it's all just, whether it's cancer, whether it's depression, whether it's schizophrenia, it's all just a thing that's impacting the human condition.
Yeah.
And the more we recognize that it's all in the same, and we are all the same, the better we can just relinquish that. I think there's fear in things like schizophrenia, but I also think to your point about being curious about things and asking questions and empowering ourselves with knowledge, I think a big part of it is ignorance, and so, that's why I love the fact that Hi, How Are Ya Foundation exists and the project exists. Let's talk about that and like how that first came into being.
Yeah. So I've got about 10 minutes left with you. We, Tom and I met 2 years ago, and we, automatically started talking on a higher level, I call it, than just your average conversation. And one of the things we talked about was my advocacy for what I deal with, what I've dealt with in my life. And he was so moved by it and inspired. And he doesn't deal with anything like that. But he has been the manager of a gentleman by the name of Daniel Johnston for 26 years. And Daniel Johnston he's an artist, and he's a musician, and some people know him well and some people don't know him. But people like Beck and Flaming Lips and,
I got to see him open for Neutral Milk Hotel.
Yeah, there you go. And he certainly struggles way worse than what you and I deal with. He's in and out of mental hospitals. But he's this fabulous, amazing person that has triumphed over, what he's been dealt, the cards he was dealt. So Tom and I thought, what could we do that could be bigger than just us doing our jobs every day, because we both agreed that was something that was important to us, and because Tom is he loves the Johnston family so much, he's always looking for ways to leave a great legacy behind for Daniel. And we decided that this could be it, it could be that we start this conversation in Austin and it goes elsewhere about just asking people how they're doing and really meaning it, really checking in with people and then checking in with them again, and making sure, people are going through divorces, they're going through, whatever they're going through. And you just have to be a friend. You just have to check in with them. You don't have to be there for their every whim, but it's good to ask and sit with them if they need it. And that's what we wanted to do. So, and then we decided, okay, so if we're going to do that, and Tom being, involved with Austin City Limits and running the TV show Austin City Limits, we decided together that, because we both love music and Daniel is a part of the music scene, that we should make it music related. So, what better way to get a point across or a message across better than, a concert, where people really enjoy coming to see live music and, also, not getting, you don't have to read a book, you don't have to read an article, you don't have to, you just sit and you enjoy music and you're there for a good cause.
I love that. Yeah. I mean, it's really an admirable pursuit. And I think there are so many of us out there that could benefit from a thing like this. And I love the sort of central conceit of it. The fact that saying hi, how are you, can make a huge impact on people's lives. If it's coming from a place of authenticity, if it's coming from a place of like, I want to know how you are doing. I am deeply curious because I am a human and you are a human, and let's connect.
Yes.
And what kinds of things are you guys doing now for the project? What's coming up?
Yeah. So we've got, we're working on a short little 2-minute, it's like 2 to 3 minute, it's going to be, it's a little video. I'm trying to think of how you say it. Like it's actually like shooting someone, sitting, in a chair, but there's cartoon characters around him.
Okay.
So because of Daniel's characters, we wanted to, do something fun, but an interesting way to teach people how to have a conversation. Mm-hmm. So we're going to, post that on YouTube, hopefully before Hi, How Are You Day, and, see where it goes. So stuff like that. We want to get into more media and just spreading a good message and supporting people. We've got so many great people doing good work. NAMI and our local, we have local great people like Sims, who supports artists with mental health issues. And there's so many great people doing so many great things. So we also try to contribute when we can. When we get some donations, we try to contribute to certain events that they're having or, that sort of thing. So that's where we are right now. I mean, we've got a lot coming down the pike. Such as, planning the big concert for next year and other concerts and events. And we're going to have a mental health fair here in Austin that we are going to, we're going to have bands and have people come out and learn how to get help if they need it.
Amazing. And Hi, How Are You Day is January 22nd?
Yes. Daniel Johnston's birthday.
Right. And what is that exactly? Is it a concert?
Yeah, it's a Flaming Lips, Yo La Tango, Black Angels, Gavin DeGraw, The Moth and the Flame, and Built to Spill.
Wow, that's an all-star lineup.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So it's going to be great. The Austin's been great to us, and we're going to have our proclamation again this year for Hi, How Are You Day, and then the Texas Music Office has granted us a proclamation for a Hi, How Are You Day as well. So
awesome.
Pretty cool.
Well, I know you're short on time, so let's we'll plug some things at the end. But first, we always wrap up the show talking about empathy heroes.
Okay.
So these are people in our lives who are just great empaths. Or it could be a fictional character, it could be someone from history. I'll go first to give you a moment to think on that. My empathy hero this week is Arthur C. Clarke, the author, of course, the science fiction author. And I wanted to read a quote from him that I really enjoyed. He says, quote, "Whether we are based on carbon or on silicon makes no fundamental difference. We should each be treated with appropriate respect," end quote. Obviously he's sort of coming from this, hard sci-fi place, but the truth of the matter is it's right. We all deserve respect. We all deserve love, no matter our backgrounds, no matter what we're struggling with. We're all feely humans. So
Yeah.
I'm giving it up to Arthur C. Clarke as my empathy hero this week. How about you, Courtney?
I mean, this is going to sound, I'm sure everybody could say this, but I truly had a great experience recently with Brene Brown.
Mm-hmm.
I just think she is magical. I went to the Texas Women's Conference and she spoke. And then I went to see her again after that conference at it's a local talk show here in Austin. So I went and saw her there too. And I just love that she is, an empath for the whole world.
She really is. Yeah.
She is, she's just amazing. And she just keeps going, she keeps investigating. And I love that.
Yeah.
She keeps investigating for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of my dreams to have her on this podcast someday.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Yeah. Well, awesome.
So that's
where
mine.
Where can people learn more about the Hi How Are You project and Hi How Are You Day and honestly, Daniel Johnson. I have been listening to Daniel Johnson since I was probably 18, 19 years old. So I know of him and have known him well and I enjoy his music greatly. So yeah, where can people learn all about that stuff?
Well, the easiest thing is to go online and just hihowareyou.org is how to find us, the project. And then the other one is .com, which is Daniel's website. And, follow us on our socials. And ours is Hi How Are You project for Facebook and for Instagram. And then Daniel's is Hi How Are You. And that's how you can find us. We're around.
Lovely. Well, thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Of course. And to you listeners, as I always say, I'm here, you're here, we're here together on this wayward, overwhelming, awe-inspiring pale blue dot. We have each other. It's you, me, empathy.